NPTEL lecture series and a chance to chat with the students and faculty in India. And what I wanted to share with you is the subject of global digital economy and how this subject is changing our social, political, economic, and most importantly, our education system and our careers and the jobs. And about my own introduction, I think you have seen my bio, but I wanted to briefly give you some of my focus areas. I am located here in Silicon Valley, where I have worked for more than 30 years in high-tech industries, IBM and Intel and others. And my focus has been, obviously, I've been a lifelong student of technology. The first 20 years I was involved in building technology. For the last 10 years, I have been more involved in how to apply technology to sectors of economy and work with the industry, academia, and governments all around the world to drive quote unquote digital economy. So that's the background. Let me share with you the topics I want to discuss with you are the following. The first thing is the COVID-19, which is a major pandemic, affects not just people in India, but all over the world. We are all in this tragedy together. And what you will hear is or see is this tragedy is a global tragedy, and hopefully we will come out of this very soon. A lot of work going on in vaccines and therapeutics and others. But I will also share with you how pandemics like this also forces us to learn new way of doing things and apply new technology to address the current issues. Then we will talk about digital economy. What is digital economy means in terms of our education system, our industry, our economy, and how we work globally together. And then I will share with you technology, major technology focus areas from AI to blockchain to other big data and analytics and so on. And then I will discuss about the work I do over the last 10 years called SRII, Service Research Innovation Institute, what it means, what is our focus areas, and how we work with the leaders around the world. And then I will discuss the subject of education system. How our education system, which is quite old, how do we drive innovation, which is more geared towards the economy today and tomorrow? Then I will talk about career, what the career means, particularly students like you and academia. You have a big future in front of you. How do you look at the future of your own career, what career means? And what you will see is career meaning is very different than what it was 10, 20, 50 years ago, simply because the economy of the world and the world is changing very fast. And lastly, I want to have a lot of discussion. It's not just my presentations. I want to have a chance to share with you or learn from you and hopefully answer some of your questions and have a dialogue and hopefully build our connection so we can continue to discuss the subject even beyond this particular presentation, okay? Now, on the COVID front, as I said, this is a global tragedy, and we are all going through this together. And what this has done is it is forcing us to adopt to a new norm, new way of doing things. And I think we are all experiencing and exercising all these disciplines. Remote work, I can tell you from Silicon Valley perspective, I would say more than 90% of the employees in Silicon Valley work from home. Obviously, companies are trying to bring people slowly back to work, but I personally feel that the work will never be the same it was before. So even when we have this pandemic gone, you will see that remote work will become a main part of our work system. Distance learning. I'm speaking to you via video, and not just this conference or this talk, but distance learning is slowly becoming a very important part of our learning system, education system. And I think this is just the beginning. This will become even bigger in terms of how we learn, what we learn. You don't always have to go to the classroom, and because of the not just pandemic, but even beyond pandemic, the distance learning is going to become a very important part, a major part of our learning system. Online entertainment, you don't always have to go to movies. You can stream movies and videos on your PCs and smartphones. Telehealth, doctors, for normal checkups, you don't need to go to hospital. You can call your physician, doctors on the video. I have not been to a hospital for many decades. Luckily, I have been healthy, so I do check with my doctor on the phone, on the video, and I think that will become even more important as we go forward. We have more advanced technologies coming in the healthcare that allows us to communicate and work with our healthcare system. The shopping, it's no longer just a nice to have, it's going to become a major part of our shopping style. People don't have to go to stores, they can do everything online. Digital contactless payment, supply chain, robotics, drones. So you can see the whole entire social and economic system is going through a new quote unquote norm because of the crisis like COVID is forcing us to adopt to new approach, new system, and most importantly, our digital technology allows us, provides us the tool, the system to adopt to this new norm. Okay. Next one is I will talk about digital economy. What does it really mean and how it's evolving? As I said, I've been very fortunate to be part of Silicon Valley since 1980s. So I have been here for 40 plus years, and I have seen the birth and the growth of Silicon Valley, from building transistors to building computers to internet, the Google, the Facebook, the Amazon, the Apple. And I have been very fortunate to work with many of those pioneers, leaders, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and founders of Google and Facebook and so on. So I will share with you some of my experiences, how Silicon Valley was born, where we are today, and most importantly, how we can build Silicon Valley, not just in California, but we can build Silicon Valley all around the world, okay? So digital economies, let me take you a historical perspective, how economy has evolved. So I would not take you to the Stone Age, billions of years. Human civilization has existed for more than 1 billion years, from a Stone Age to Metal Age to quote unquote agriculture age. But I'm going to walk you through the last couple hundred years where initially everything was agriculture. Everyone was a farmer. There was no other economy, right? Then comes industrial revolution. We got a steam engine, we got railroad, we got cars, we got airplanes. Then came the quote unquote semiconductor transistors and computers, which gave rise to the new economy called internet economy. And now we are into the next phase, which is called knowledge economy. It's no longer just a computer and microprocessors and hardware and software. It's about your personal skills and expertise is what going to define your future. So this is the era we call the knowledge economy. The Google, the Facebook, and all these companies are all about knowledge economy. They don't sell microprocessor. They don't sell hardware, software. They sell information and based on our personal knowledge and skills. Now, let me walk you through some of the digital era. So this slide that I'm sharing with you is quote unquote, how technology growth has accelerated. So if you go back to 1400, 1500, technology was there, but it's a different technology. The printing press, the telescope, the steam engine, and quote unquote, light bulbs and others. So we have innovated and improved technology over the last few hundred years, but the innovation was much smaller. The impact on society of those innovations were very small. You can see that line is almost flat. The real innovation started in 1950s when semiconductor transistor was invented. And the first production transistor was in 1960s. So 60s to now 2020. So in last 60 years or so, this is the era of quote unquote digital economy. And in fact, you can see the graph, it shows going up a straight line, means most of the innovations have happened after the transistor was invented, and that gave rise to quote unquote all these companies that you see and all the technology that we use, take it for granted today. It all has happened in last 40, 50 years, 60 years. So in short, even though we as humans have existed for billions of years, but what has happened in the last 50, 60 years has redefined the whole world in terms of who we are, how we work, and how the world works today. It's quite impressive and fascinating, but important thing to remember is not just what has happened in the last 40, 50 years, but what is going to happen in the next 10, 20, 30 years, and how that will affect the economy and all of us as society and all of us as individual. And I think you all as a student and academia has a huge role to play in defining the future of the quote unquote society and digital technology and digital economy as we go forward. So that's the key message. The message is that the digital economy over the last 40, 50 years has retransformed in everything, socially, economically, politically, what we do, how we do. But most important is how things are going to evolve as we go forward, okay? And you play a very, very important role because you are the future. You are the future engineers and founders and entrepreneurs and leaders of the society. Next slide is, this is a much more a sort of futuristic, very complex slide, but just talks about how new economy is going to evolve with the quote unquote, I call them technology foundations. You see mobile and cloud and analytics and AI and blockchain and internet. All these are quote unquote foundation technology that we are working today. These foundation technology is going to give quote unquote innovation accelerator. The IoT, nanotechnology, robotics, blockchain, 3D printings are all going to come out or coming out of those quote unquote foundation technology. And the next, the big slide you see is quote unquote the new economy. You will see that will emerge out of these quote unquote innovation that we are driving. So we are just in the early stage of the quote unquote new digital economy. So there's so much more going to happen. And again, you are part of this quote unquote making things happen. You as a student, you as a faculty. Now, era of digital transformation, if I have to summarize the things that I have seen myself, back in 80s, building transistor was the coolest thing you can do. I used to work at National Semiconductor. I used to go in the morning building transistors, and I was so excited about building transistors. I didn't want to come home. I wanted to stay in the lab. Then came the quote unquote internet and the computers, internet. And then now we are into a new era where every device has intelligence. The IoT, the smartphone, the fridge and the washing machine, cars and shoes and shirt, all will have intelligence. They all talk to each other. So we are into an era beyond internet, this computer and cell phone. We have a system where everything has intelligence, everything is going to be interconnected. Now the new era is going to be even more exciting, what we call them, the era of digital transformation, where people, process, systems all interconnect. The providers, the customer, the context, all these things are going to be redefined because of digital technology. Okay. In terms of digital economy, particularly from the employment point of view, I think you can see the chart. I just showed you the agriculture economy. Everyone was a farmer back in 1800, 1900. Then came quote unquote manufacturing economy, the industrial revolution. So people started working in factories. Then came services industry. Now the new era is what we call them digital economy, which is all about information-based services. That's where the real growth and that's where the real job And that's where all the economy is shifting from. Not that agriculture is gone, agriculture is still very important, manufacturing is still very important, but important thing to understand is the growth and the most of the work happening from digital technology perspective is in the area of information-based services. So from career point of view, I think that's your basic focus is how to excel, how to understand this particular digital economy and information-based services, and how you build your competency, your career to excel. The next slide is how the technology has transformed the global economy. So this slide is one of my favorite. If you look at last 15, 18 years, in 2001, most of the companies, the largest market cap companies were banks and oil and industrial. There was only one company in that was Microsoft, was from the technology side. Today, all big companies are technology companies. So that shows you while an industrial and banks have not gone away, they're still there. But the real growth happened in the technology industry. All large companies are IT companies, technology companies. So technology has become the foundation of economy all around the world. And I'm very glad to talk to people like you who are IIT students and faculty. You are the instrumental in building the quote unquote, the next foundation for digital economy. Digital economy has also disrupted economy. So if you look at today sectors of economy, right? The Uber is the largest taxi company, but they don't own any taxi, right? Airbnb is the largest hotel without owning any hotel. Skype and WeChat is the largest telecom company without owning any telecom infrastructure, right? The media, the popular media owner create no content. Facebook doesn't create any content. They connect people who create content, right? And so on. The Apple and the Google, the largest software vendors, don't write their own apps. Right? Netflix, the largest movie hall, without owning any movie provider. So these are the new economy created solely because of technology. So if you look at how this economy is shifting, and I think this is just an example of what else to come. So our key message here is the future of economy is all going to be redefined. The sectors will all redefined because of the technology we are inventing today, okay? Digitization of the industry. Some of these slides that I have sent before may not be there. I have added a few slides. So different sectors, I would say that not all economy has taken digital, or digital implementation is not uniform. Some sectors are using more digital than the others, but you can see the media, the finance, the healthcare, manufacturing, energy. A graph shows you there's still a lot of major sectors, for example, manufacturing, energy, healthcare. These are big part of economy, but there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of building digital solutions for these sectors. So for students and academia like you, this is a golden opportunity for you to think about future, think about building solutions for these kind of sectors, which is very big, but there's still a lot of opportunities, right? So at the end, digital economy is in a very simple system and thought is about people, business, data, devices, and processes all interconnected, gives you the quote unquote, the new world of digital economy. Now let me shift gear, talk briefly about technology trends. What's happening in not just Silicon Valley, but all around the world. In my role, in the last 10 years, I get to work with universities and government and companies all over the world, in Asia, in Europe, in Australia, in India. And I am very fascinated and impressed with all the great innovations, not just in Silicon Valley, but all around the world. India plays a very important role. You have one of the best technical institutes like IITs and others, and you produce a lot of engineers, a lot of companies, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And I will share with you some of my perspective, particularly from India perspective. I was born in India, so I know Indian system. I came to US when I was relatively young. So I've lived most of my life in US, but I still visit India and I work with Indian companies and government and organizations. And deep inside, I'm still Indian at heart, even though I work at international level. So I will share with you some of my personal perspectives of few things we can do better, particularly in, if I look at the largest economy in the world, United States is the largest. The second largest is China. And as you have seen, I'm very connected with China. I am visiting professor at Tsinghua University. I'm also advisor to their government. So I'm very closely connected with the Chinese economy and industry. And I can see some clear distinction between China and India in terms of economy, in terms of people, in terms of systems. And I'll be very happy to share even beyond this talk, because this talk is only limited to 1 hour, but I'll be happy to connect with you, and anyone has questions and comments, I'll be very happy to share. So let's talk about the technology focus areas, what's happening in the broader context. So at the highest level, 3 things happening. The world is getting interconnected. Convergence of digital and physical world all around, right? Then we have dynamic mesh, connection of people, processes, things, services, and that provides a digital ecosystem. And lastly, everything is becoming intelligent. So you will hear a lot about big data, data analytics, AI, machine learning, and XYZ, the blockchain, and so on. But at the highest level, these are the 3 major drivers: the interconnected world, the dynamic connection of people and processes, and every system becoming intelligent. So those are the 3 biggest sort of, change that is driving everything else that we do. Second thing happening is data, and I will share quite a bit about data, subject of data. Data is the new oil of digital economy. So as you know, the industrial revolution and the industry before, I showed you slide, the oil was the kind of engine of economy. Now, oil is no longer the engine of the economy. I showed you the biggest companies today are all digital technology company, no longer Exxon and Mobil and other oil company that used to be the largest market cap company. So data is becoming the new oil of the digital economy. So I think you as students and faculty, one of my messages to you is learn about data as much as possible. Doesn't matter what major you studied, computer science, electronic, industrial, mechanical, whatever subjects we study in schools, data is going to be foundation for every discipline, every sectors of economy. And I don't need to go over a lot of these slides, but shows you how the data is exploding all over the world. And most importantly, 90% of the data has been created in the last 2 years. So that's kind of the change that we are dealing with. Now you can imagine how data will look like in the next 5 years, 10 years, where we are dealing with only 2 years of data. You can imagine how things will look in 5 years, 10 years, how much more data we'll have, and how to analyze them, how to make sense, how to build economy around the new data, okay? Data is coming from many, many sources. Obviously, the PC was our main source of communication. Then came the smartphones. Now the IoT, the sensors are everywhere. Everything has sensors. Every sensor has intelligence. They connect and provide tons and tons of data. And beyond the sensor is now the social networking. The people are creating tons and tons of data at a social level. So in the short story is the data is going to be a very, very big subject, and we are just barely scratching the surface, okay? By 2025, we will have generated 160 zettabyte. Zettabyte is 1 trillion gigabyte. That tells you how much data is going to be there for us to work and create value, create economy, create new career. Okay. I'm going to fast forward some of the slides because I have many other slides. I have, let me see the time wise. I want to make sure that I have enough time for discussions with you. The slide, the big data, we talk about a lot of big, how much data is created in 60 seconds? And I think you will see this kind of slide everywhere, right? From tweets to all the social medias, the search, the emails, and all the mobile applications we use. There is a jillions of data that we create. And the unfortunate part is what you will hear about a structured versus unstructured. 80% data is still, we call them unstructured. We don't understand. So all the data, Google and Facebooks and others who are trying to sell and make money and create economy is still a very small part. We still 80% data is not very well understood. So that's a challenge, but also an opportunity for new engineers like you to go create industry, create companies, create solutions. I will fast forward this evolution of data analytics. This is something that people in academia are very good understanding how we have come from data warehousing to data mining to data analytics. And that subject is, as I said, is very big. And as I said, we are barely scratching the surface. There's so much more to be done, particularly in the area of data analytics, where stream processing, massively distributed, no SQL databases, and zettabytes of data. So this is a huge subject in terms of data analytics as a field. The next one is where we are in terms of data analytics as a discipline. So if you look at what we do with the data and the value of data, we inform, analyze, act, and provide value, right? So that's sort of, the impact of data analytics. And the unfortunate part is a lot of our current focus in data analytics is still in the early stage, collecting data, analyzing data, and we are barely trying to act, and prescriptive means how we can predict what things will happen based on the analytics we have done. So that tells you some percentage, but those percentages are not that important. Important thing is there is still a lot of work to be done when it comes to predictive and prescriptive value of the data. So this is, again, a huge opportunity for academia and students like you. This cannot just be done in Google and Facebook and Amazon and Apple. You in the universities have a big role to play in going and focusing on the subject of data analytics in the area of predictive and prescriptive values. Okay, I'm going to fast forward some of the slides here. I have many slides. You will hear many sub-terms: data mining, data machine learning, AI, databases. What I have shown you is all these terms are around the core subject of data mining. Data is the foundation, and how you mine, and that gives rise to all the other associated subjects: data mining, AI, statistics, computational, neuroscience. All these things relies on data and data mining. So important thing is, as I said before, you cannot overemphasize the importance of data and data mining and data analytics, because this is how all these new fields are evolving based on the data, okay? The other term you will hear about AI, artificial intelligence. And I have been in the industry for 30 some years, and I have heard and been part of this subject. So I'm going to share with you from my personal perspective. I personally don't like the word AI, artificial intelligence. I would rather call it augmented intelligence. Artificial has a connotation that somehow it is a substitute to human intelligence or something different. No, human intelligence will always be very, very important. Human intelligence, we create computers, we create data, we build technologies. Technology doesn't build human. Maybe someday we may get humans being built by technology, but that will be a different era and different subject. But artificial/augmented reality is an old subject. It's not a new subject. If this subject was discussed in 1960s, 70s, 80s. But important thing is that subject initially was much more sort of, conceptual, more like a wish list. Now it is becoming more and more real because of three things. Why AI is becoming far more real now than it was 30, 40 years ago? Number one, we have lots of data that didn't exist before. I showed you a slide. Most of the data, 90% data was created in last 2 years. So if you don't have the data, then you cannot analyze, you cannot create artificial intelligence, okay? So we have lots of data. We have also a lot of storage. We don't have to store data on the PC and your own server. You can put it in the cloud. You can store tons and tons of data. So more data, more storage, and we have much better algorithm to analyze those data, right? So at the highest level, AI has become important for those three regions. A lot of data. Oh, or one more thing, the processing power. The microprocessor and processors, when I started in 80s and 90s, we're talking about kilohertz, the megahertz, the gigahertz wasn't even, never even thought about, right? Now, when I started back in 80s, building 100 transistors on one chip was a big accomplishment. Now we have silicon chips with over 30 billion transistors on one tiny chips. 30 billion transistors. That tells you how the processing power has. So you will hear about these technologies separately, but what you will start seeing is the convergence of AI, blockchain, and IoT, giving rise to sort of new platform, new applications, and hopefully new economy, okay? 5G is another cellular technology, which is again, is going to be a very big part of economy, because now our economy is becoming very mobile. We use smartphones for almost everything, but that application needs to be much faster to do more and more things mobile. So we need to go from current speed of what we call them to almost a gigabyte speed per second compared to megabytes per second today. And that's 5G has the promising technology, promising platform, and a lot of work is still needs to be done. I see in India, the Jio from Reliance is working on driving mobile technology in India. Hopefully they will play an important role. Internet security is another very big subject. So I'm just sharing with you some of the subjects that is very complex, but a lot of opportunity for young engineers and students like you in academia to sort of focus in looking at the future. Internet security is becoming a big subject for the following reason. At one hand, internet was built around connecting the whole world for doing everything. So at one hand, technology is pushing everyone to connect with each other and do everything on the internet. On the other hand, we also find that this creates a lot of loopholes. There could be bad actors who can also create some major problem if we are not very careful. So internet security is becoming, as technology advances, it also poses a new threat from security point of view. How do we secure what we are building? And there is no one solution. I think from what I see from Silicon Valley and around the world, it's almost like a balanced approach. You can't be so afraid of security and not drive innovation. You need to keep driving innovation and keep fixing the holes that it creates. You can't just get so paranoid about security that you cannot drive innovation. So innovation and handling security has to go hand in hand, okay? So anyway, I've shared with you economy of the world, how it's becoming digital. I've shared with you kind of bigger picture of the internet and how it's evolving. Now I'm going to share with you what I am working on personally with leaders around the world called SRII. We created SRII about 10 years ago. After spending 20 years in Silicon Valley working for IBM and Intel, I realized that companies, no matter how big you are, companies focus on technology, product. One company cannot focus on economy, cannot focus on healthcare versus finance versus transportation versus e-commerce. So me and some of my friends in Silicon Valley who have spent similar amount of time, we got together, we felt that we need to think beyond one company. We need to look at global economy and how can digital technology not just help IBM and Intel and Microsoft and Google become bigger and make more money and the stock price go up and people become rich, but how can we help 7.5 billion people in the world? And that's one challenge we have. Digital technology and economy has evolved and doing wonderful things. But if you look at a global level, we have 7.5 billion people in the world, right? But the digital economy and digital technology has not reached all 7.5 billion people. How do we help with this wonderful, great things we are creating to not just help a small percentage of people? Currently, we are talking about billion, 2 billion people, and not only people who are rich can afford all these digital solutions, but how do we help people who have limited resources, limited earnings? How do we help digital technology be useful to them? So this is kind of the thinking of creating SRII, Service Research Innovation Institute, be created with the participation of big companies, academias, industry from all over the world. Our mission was drive digital solution for economy at large and for a better world. So it's no longer just helping one company, one technology, but helping society at large. And to do this, here is the major strategy. Strategy is, at one hand, we look at economy. We look at healthcare, education, government, finance, manufacturing, energy, retail, telecom, agriculture, transportation. This is how the global economy runs. These are the sectors of economy, right? People work in this economy, they connect and they provide services. Then on the right-hand side is technology, AI and cloud computing, edge computing, data analytics, mobile, social networking, internet security, and so on. So how do we connect these technology innovation to sectors of economy? So that's our major focus in SRII. That cannot be done at one company level. That requires a global platform. And this is what we created about 10 years ago when I was part of the IBM research. And then we made SRII independent, and I became the founder and the CEO. And our mission here is, if you look at these technology innovations from Intel and Microsoft and Google and Apple and others, they're all moving to the bigger picture. Oh, I am an AI company, I'm a cloud company. But if you look at closely, Microsoft is all about building operating system, Office, and so on. Intel is about building microprocessors. Apple is about building smartphones, right? So these companies are still very technology focused around a specific area. They have competency, which is great. Now what is happening is all these technology companies are moving to the higher level. If you talk to Intel or Microsoft, they would not tell you I am an OS and microprocessor company. They will tell you I'm a cloud company, I'm a big data company, and so on. So we have moved from product technology discussion to quote unquote platform discussion. But that's still not enough. We need to connect this technology to economy. What does healthcare, how healthcare runs, how manufacturing runs? What does cloud mean for healthcare? What does big data mean for finance versus agriculture? So this is a big subject that requires all of us to connect, to build solutions, taking advantage of the technology to connecting to economy. So this is our big focus in SRII, okay? And the way we look at is, and I will fast forward this thing. I know we have 20 some minutes left. So healthcare. So the way we look at every sector, we look at from sector point of view. We don't look at from technology. If you look at the technology industry, In the past, every technology industry looks at from technology side and how their technology product can solve industry uh, challenges. So Intel will build microprocessor, how microprocessor can help healthcare and manufacturing and finance. Microsoft will build OS and Office to help those sectors. Now we are looking from the end user side. How does healthcare run? What is their major issues? How can technology help? How can cloud and big data and mobility help healthcare? Not the other way around. Put the end user in the center and then understand their problems and challenges and then build solutions. Don't force technology on top of somebody without knowing their issues. So that's a big shift that's happening in the technology industry to understanding the end user and building the right solution. So I'm going to fast forward these slides, but you got the picture. So if you look at healthcare problem is cost, quality, value, how healthcare runs. Healthcare is still the most costly system, not just in US, but all over the world. Government and society spends most of their money on the healthcare. Okay, what kind of value we get out of that cost, right? How can we make healthcare more productive, more efficient, and then how do we apply big data, cloud, and mobility to help doctors do a better job, the insurance company do a better job? How can the patients be in charge of their own healthcare, right? So you should have a technology, should become your personal doctor that should tell you how you feel, and they can talk to your doctor, talk to your pharmacy, and so on, okay? This application of AI into and all this technology in healthcare, I'm just sharing this slide, how healthcare is, as an example, how all this technology we talk about has a huge role to play and value to provide to these sectors, right? Okay, wearable sensors, medication adherence, artificial intelligence as a robot, right? How can biotechnology, bio-nanotechnology can be helpful to healthcare, understanding our inner operation of the system, right? There's so much to be done. There's still a lot of innovation needs to be done. Human body is very complex. We still don't understand human body inside, exactly how each system works. Can we apply some nanotechnology to better understand the inner function of our body, right? So there's a lot of work to be done in this area, right? Same thing, manufacturing. How manufacturing is changing. Manufacturing was all in the past putting a lot of people to do a certain task. Now those tasks are being replaced by robots and computers and drones and others. How do we build, apply data analytics, cloud computing, robotics to drive manufacturing efficiency and productivity as we go forward? I can tell you, I work in China with a lot of companies. China's largest economy is manufacturing, right? And they are in the process of transitioning from manufacturing to quote unquote digital economy. It's a big subject. How do you move from quote unquote manufacturing based economy to digital economy, particularly when they have such a large population, 1 billion people, where they have the jobs in manufacturing? How can you train them to be more digitally competent and work in the area of the new field? But that has to happen, and that is how every country is going to drive. I'm going to share some agriculture, subject of agriculture. I presented recently to a agriculture technology summit. As I said before, agriculture is still a very important part of economy, not just as a part of GDP, but we as humans, we can't survive for too long without good food. We can survive without computers or smartphones and internet for a few days, but we can't survive without food. So we still need food. And the other thing is the global population is getting bigger, right? People are moving out of the farming villages to the city. So a lot of factors affecting the farming and agriculture business. So how do we help agriculture? And most importantly, people who work in the agriculture industry, they are not necessarily most technically literate people, how do we help them with this new IoT and cloud and big data technology so the farmers can be more productive? Farming and agriculture is one of the least productive in terms of the how much earning farmers have. They are the poorest among all the sectors of economy. How do we provide this sort of technology to agriculture industry so that we help the farmers, we produce the better quality food, we can manage the food supply and the quality of food in a much more intelligent way. Smart city, the cities are becoming crowded everywhere. People are moving from, as I said, rural to the big cities, but city doesn't have infrastructure. I go to India and I see big cities like Bangalore and Delhi and others. It's a nightmare. I know how people even drive and how people live in such a congested place, and the air quality and the infrastructure. How do we make city more cleaner and more productive and more efficient? So much to be done in the smart city area. Government, how government runs. Government plays a very big part of economy and society all over the world, particularly in emerging economies like India, where government is your biggest source of resources, biggest source of employment. And how do we provide government right tools? And I know Modi's government, I'm somewhat connected with them. Modi was here in Silicon Valley a few years ago, and I had a chance to meet with the Modi and his team. And we had a very good chat, and they sounded very excited about applying Digital India, they call it, and they're talking at least to do a lot of work in the area of making economy and government more digital. But it's not just for India, but governments all around the world. We need a better infrastructure, better tools for government to provide the right services, services to the citizens, and so on. So this is for how do we make government more productive with the help of digital technology. Now I'm going to shift gear. Hopefully I'll have time to talk about education. So my message here is education is no longer just confined to university 4-year or degree or learning from textbook and professors. Education is a lifelong process and system. You need to learn all your life. You need to learn 24/7. So education is a very dynamic subject. Things and subjects changes all the time. You need to keep learning, in many cases relearn and unlearn what you have learned before. Second message is education needs to become interdisciplinary. Education is very compartmentalized today. We have universities and schools all based on subjects, and that's an old model. That model has to change. All these departments needs to figure out how to interconnect the EE and computer science and IAS and industrial and mechanical. These are all subject-based disciplines. They all need to figure out how to connect and build this curriculum focused on sectors of economy, focused on solutions. Build focus on entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is about teaching students about social and economic issues and looking for solutions. So how do the student not just learn subjects, but learn about the issues in the economy and society and what solutions to build? So go focus on building solutions, build companies, and build solutions to solve the problem. Focus on creativity and apprenticeship. So it's no longer just book and textbook, but as I said, focus on creativity, focus on building things with your own hand, not just passing the test and the exams, right? And again, promote online. Online education is becoming a mainstream now, but it still has a long way to go. There should be more and more courses, more and more programs should become online, okay? Next one is, I talked about business and technology transformation. I talked about the business and technology interconnect, and I gave an example of 2 big companies, Google and Amazon are the 2 largest companies in the world, and how Google drove business innovation based on technology. So Google was formed to go organize world information and make it useful. And they developed this technology called PageRank algorithm, And that algorithm became very powerful to help organize the information. And then later came the business of selling ad. Ad business didn't exist before. And now the ad business becoming a big part, online ad is a big part of economy, right? So Google is a classic example where technology has created a new business model. On the other hand, Amazon is just the opposite. Amazon is about innovating business, and business model innovation drives new technology. So Amazon was about selling books online. And in order to sell books and more stuff online, they wanted to sell more kitchen and household appliances and so on. So they built IT infrastructure online so they can sell more stuff. And that IT infrastructure later became cloud computing. And now Amazon is the godfather and the leader of the cloud computing. So Amazon is a classic example where business innovation created new technology, and Google is an example of technology created new business model. So this is very, very important for you as a student to understand that this all interconnects. We must look at from both ways, okay? We talked about product and services. In the past, most technology companies were focused on technology and products, microprocessor, the office, the OS, the router, the switches, and so on, databases, all focused on building product and technology. Now, the new focus is services. So even people who build product, for example, Bezos builds Kindle from Amazon. He says Kindle is not a product, it's not a device, it is a service. So they sell services. Product and technology is just an enabler. Now people are giving products almost free so that they can sell more services. So service is the new business, okay? The product and technology is just an enabler, okay? I shared with you about the program that I teach at Tsinghua University and other universities about innovation and entrepreneurship, where we invite experts and industry leaders from Silicon Valley around the world to work with me to teach different subjects, because no matter, I cannot teach every subject. I have only limited experience, limited expertise. So I need to bring other people who understand cloud, understand big data, understand healthcare, understand manufacturing, to share their expertise to the students. So programs like this becomes very, very useful for a student because they get to hear experts from industry who have been specialized in a certain subject and in one class. And I've shared that with the IITs and other members in your network, that even people in India can connect. Hopefully I can make room for Indian students and academia to also attend this course that I'm teaching next one in August at Tsinghua University. In future, hopefully we can create similar program for Indian universities, and I'm discussing this with IITs and others. Then I talked about building career and defining success. And I gave example of all these successful people who build the industry, the pioneers like Jeff Bezos from Amazon. How Amazon was started in 1999 selling books from garage. Now, in 20 years, Amazon is the largest company on the earth, right? How this one person, vision and passion, transformed Amazon from selling books to becoming the cloud computing leader and selling everything online, right? And I think his message is never, I believe you have to be willing to be misunderstood if you are going to innovate. So when you are trying to drive innovation, don't worry about what other people are saying. Believe in your own personal conviction. Have a smart people in your network. Work with the smartest people in the world and have personal vision, conviction, passion, okay? Same thing as Steve Jobs at Apple, right? He was fired from Apple. He came back and he built Apple to what it is today. His mission was to bring computing from mainframe to desktop, to tablets, to finally to smartphone. He wanted to bring computing in your hand, right? And he has been, Apple phone is the best smartphone in the world today, right? A smartphone wasn't developed by Apple, it was developed by Nokia. But he took that smartphone technology and he converted into a very different experience and platform where people find it very, very useful to do business and to connect with friends. And his main focus was stay hungry, stay foolish. That's his famous quote that I always remember. Never think that you know enough. Always stay hungry. Always try to do more. Always learn more, right? Bill Gates built Microsoft at such a young age, right? And also at such a young age, he left Microsoft to do all this entrepreneurship and social good for the world. His message was build your own identity. Don't compare yourself with anyone in the world. If you do, you're going to be insulting yourself. So building your own identity, building your own passion, own vision is what drives your success, what gives you happiness, not happiness just by having a 8-to-5 job and company paycheck that can only give you happiness for a few days, but eventually you will miss not doing something that you personally believe in, okay? Google, same thing. Google was formed to organize world information and make it useful to the world. Now Google is the largest company from the ad and information search because of the sheer the vision that they had. They never thought that Google would become this big, but they were very committed to their passion. So again, the message is, if you're committed to the passion and vision, you succeed, okay? Andy Grove at Intel. I worked with Andy Grove at Intel. He was all about keeping everyone on the edge all the time. Stay paranoid. Never ever think that you are too successful. That makes you too comfortable. You become lazy. So always think that you are paranoid. You always have more things to do. Never become too comfortable. Facebook. Zuckerberg built this Facebook platform from the Harvard dorm. He never thought the Facebook would become this big. But his mission about connecting the world together was very powerful. That has allowed Facebook to become this big. So again, example of personal vision, conviction, passion, commitment makes people success to this extent, okay? Jack Ma from Alibaba in China. Your attitude is more important than your capabilities. So attitude, never think that you are expert, okay? You're never an expert on any subject. Subjects are changing. There are always people who are smarter than you. Attitude of staying hungry, staying foolish, having noble ideas. I want to help society. I want to build solutions, right? So being humble is very, very important. And having a purpose in life where you are not just about your own bank balance and buying a fancy car, but about building solutions and services for society and making it useful to others, okay? Success, I talked about. Success is, we always see people who are very successful from the top, or how he became so successful. One thing we don't see is how hard these people have worked, how many times they have failed, how committed they were. So every successful person, if you study closely, they have gone through very hard work, many failures, but they are consistent, they are dedicated, they have a passion. So success is not a straight line. Success requires a lot of hard work and sometimes failures or many failures, but you don't give up. You stay focused to your cause and eventually you will succeed. I shared this slide about all the successful people in the world, many successful people, all, if you look closely, they all have failed and failed miserably at many times. But they all became successful for one reason, because they never gave up. They always stayed true to their passion, their vision, their commitment, okay? So that's very important for you to learn and drive. I talked about entrepreneurship focus. Focus on social, economic challenges. Then you look for technology solutions, go build functions and drive in the market, and then drive this circle on a continuous basis. I talked about innovation, disruptive versus continuous. There are two major kinds of innovation. One is an incremental continuous innovation that gives you a small value, but the bigger value comes from disruptive innovation. So all the big companies that you see, they all created something new from scratch. It just did not just improve the old thing. So focus on, if you want to drive bigger subjects, think about disruptive innovation, okay? Innovation, what is innovation requires? So if you look at textbooks and go to business schools and listen to experts, they will tell you, you need money, you need people, you need technology, you need process, and so on. And that's very true. You need those things. But most important, my message to you is people. Find just not yourself, but find people like you who are as smart, as committed to the cause you believe in. So if you get the right people working together, everything else follows. The money and other thing, technology will come. So most important thing is people. So find friends and people who are smarter than you, who are equally committed to a certain passion, to a certain vision, okay? Now summary, let me summarize something we talked about in our talk. Number one, digital technology driving major social economic changes all around the world. Okay, I gave you all the examples how the world is becoming digital. Anything which is not digital may not have much value. Okay, so every structure, system, businesses are going to be based on digital foundation. I talked about innovating our education system. Education system is too old. It is built around industrial revolution model. Now we're in digital age where you need to learn different subjects all the time and learn new things all the time. So the old system based on 4-year degree or 6-year degree and PhD or masters and bachelors, they have very little value now. Our value is to build interdisciplinary program where a student can learn all the time. Teach them how to learn, not just teach them one subject. Subjects will change, okay? Education is no longer confined to campus and textbooks and teachers. Students are teachers. Teachers need to become students, okay? Education is a lifelong learning process. You have to learn all the time. We have education online. Google gives information up to date, every minute, every second. Build your personal identity, personal mission, purpose. That gives you true success, true happiness of what the career is about, okay? Build focus on building solutions, solving social problem. Don't build focus on how to become rich. The money and cars and houses gives you happiness for a few days. Ultimate happiness comes from bigger things you do for society and the world. That makes you, all those examples I gave you, those people, they are famous not because they are rich, but famous because they change the world, right? And lastly, build global network. You cannot do alone. You need to find people who are as committed, as smart or smarter than you, and build friendship with them. So hope I have given you some food for thought. I would love to have open discussion with you. I will go over some of the questions that you have sent and try to answer. But most importantly, I may not have enough time to answer all the questions. I'm going to leave you my email address, my Skype address. You can also connect with me on the LinkedIn, and I'll be very happy to connect with you and continue this discussion. This subject that we discussed in 1 hour is a very big subject. 1 hour cannot justify all the discussions. So let me start with the new one first, okay? On innovation online, agriculture, education, studies, what should the roadmap look like? Yeah, I think this is a very good subject, and I think I'll share one slide in my presentation. Agriculture will continue to be a very important part of economy, and you will see that a lot of the IT companies, initially they were not as focused on agriculture because agriculture did not provide as much revenue to them or as much profit. But now they realize that for social good, you can't ignore agriculture. Agriculture is a very, very important part of our society, our system. So how do we help farmers in terms of producing the quality food, clean food? The food supply should be clean, and and all boils down to providing better tools and technology to agriculture sector, and also training the farmers how to use digital tools and technology, because most farmers are not kind of digital technology competent. So we need to educate them. But again, the short answer is yes. I will be happy to have more discussion, and I have time to time I do global subject discussion on agriculture. I'll be happy to invite you or others who want to learn more. Your talk on subjects very educative. I somehow felt that you are very much okay. I could not get. How do we get the answer? Or the very much very obsessed with what is obsessed with system being followed in the rest of the world. No, I think I am very much involved in education, and I would very much like to learn about the education system in India. I am in touch with many faculty people, but I'm sure I have a lot to learn. I just said I am teaching some programs in different countries, and I do plan to start something similar in India. I am speaking to some of my colleagues, and I will be very happy to get your input and thoughts. So send me email what else I should learn, and what else we can focus as far as education innovation in India is concerned, and what I am missing. Okay. Environmental conscious education, fallout exploring, how data science will help in improving quality of education. How data science will help in improving quality of education. That's two subjects. One is how to improve education system, and one is how to build a better data science curriculum, right? They are related, but data science curriculum is not just about education. Data science curriculum focus is about all sectors of economy. Data applies to not just education, but applies to every sector of economy. So my advice is I am trying to discuss with faculty members and a student like you, how to get more focus on data science. Okay, how to better understand data, how to better analyze data, how to better provide value, so that we can get much bigger value of the data than what is today. So we need technology, we need tools, and a lot of work needs to be done that university and students like you can do. Let me see what else I can. How can create skills about innovation in teaching is. Let me say, how can create new skills about innovation in teaching, in teacher education? How can avoid and minimize from get internet versus minimize from internet virus infections. So I think that if I understand, their question has to do with innovating our education system and how not to just rely on internet. Internet is just one platform, and obviously it's a very important platform that you learn what's out there, who is doing what. In terms of the virus issue, the virus issue is there. There's always, I'm not sure you're talking about minimize virus infections. You meant a virus on internet, or a virus you're talking about COVID? So if you're talking about virus on internet, yes, internet virus are there. You need to make sure you have virus protection. You need to be careful. But just because there are virus on internet should not stop you from learning as much as possible from the internet. Try to figure out how to use internet without getting affected by the virus. Skills, to me, innovation in education system, to me, is teachers have to take a lead, not just up to a student. And my first request is with the teachers. They need to innovate themselves, what they teach and how they teach. They should not just overemphasize the subject of the subjects and exams and midterms. They should encourage a student and teach a student about solution building, understanding challenges of the economy, of the sectors. The teacher should invite a student from industry to talk about how healthcare runs, how manufacturing runs, how finance runs, and let those industry people explain to the students about those sectors of economy and what are the challenges and how they can fix. Because I don't expect one teacher to know all the sectors. My advice to teachers: connect with the industry, connect with the experts, bring as many people from the outside to give lectures online or be present if possible, and inspire students. A student should be exposed to all these challenges, because every student will have different interests. Not everyone has the same personal vision and passion. Somebody wants to fix healthcare. Somebody has interest in agriculture. Somebody has interest in e-commerce. Somebody has interest in finance. So everyone will find their own niche. So my message is, get a student to first understand, appreciate some of the challenges, and then motivate them to go find solutions. And that's, to me, is the start of entrepreneurship. Okay, let's go next. New skills. How one should start learning data science as a beginner? What are the steps and methods? Okay, data science, you can start from anywhere. Okay, I would suggest first thing you should do, go online. There are a lot of online course for data science for beginners. Okay, as you learn, and then you will need to learn statistics and other businesses. So learn enough about data science as a subject, but at the same time, also learn the data science application and needs to sectors of economy. Don't just focus on data science as a subject alone, because data science application in healthcare is quite different than the data science application in finance and e-commerce or entertainment. Each one has unique applications, and they require looking at the data from different contexts. So learn the subject itself, but learn the application, spend more time in learning the application side. Your useful information presentation. Okay, let me go back. Skills need for IT medical technology. IT needs for medical technology. Medical technology is a very complex subject, because medical science is one field. You are dealing with the human body, human illness. And I have 2 kids who are doctors, so I understand medical science from family side also. My brothers are doctors. So I can see, and I have many friends who are doctors. Doctors have a very, very difficult subject to understand human body issue, and every human is different. So even though some symptoms are similar, but most symptoms are very specific to a specific genetics and human, their background, the genes and so on. So they have a very difficult subject, but we are getting better. We have a lot more advanced tools and technology, but in short, healthcare and IT technology has a huge opportunity. So if I have to start advise somebody for career, I would definitely advise them to look at healthcare as a sector, because there's a lot of opportunities. It's a big, very expensive sector, and a lot more work needs to be done. Okay, let's go back. How Indian economy had changed pre versus post liberalization. I may not be the right person to answer, because I don't follow Indian politics very closely, when they start and what they do. I look at India at a higher level in terms of the economy and how they compare to the rest of the world. Only thing I will say that India has still a lot of smart people, a lot of resources, but India can accomplish more. India can do a lot more with the talent they have. So there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of accomplishments that India should target and focus on. Okay. Excellent. We have a broad bottom. Would we target the audience with some robust, frugal products and how to get job after post-COVID period? That's a very interesting question. First of all, COVID is a very challenging time, not just for you, for me and everybody in the world. This has changed the world. We have pandemics in the world in the past. This pandemic is very different because it affects the whole world in the same way. Some pandemics in the past were regional, local, now this is a global. So we all have to learn to a new norm. In terms of the job, there will be always jobs, but in many cases, new jobs. My advice is the following: stay calm, stay cool, stay disciplined, focus on all the medical expert advice about hand washing and social distancing and so on. That's very important, but this will pass. The vaccines are being research going on, very, very serious research. Some drugs are being tested. We are hopeful that vaccine and drugs will be implemented very quickly, and hopefully we'll go back to normal to a new normal. May not be the exactly same normal we used to before. For example, I'm talking to many companies, my friends at Google and Apple. Company will never have 100% people come to office like they had before, even after the pandemic is over, okay? Because they find that people can still be productive working from home if you have the right infrastructure, right technology. In terms of the job, I think I've talked about job. Don't look at job, somebody else to give you the job, you create the job, okay? You develop your competency. There's a lot of work to be done, okay? Every company is looking for smart people, but don't just look for company job, look for a job where you excel. Create your own competency, own expertise, own vision, okay? Job should come to you, not you should go to job, okay? Let's see what else. Examination point of view, digital economy. Yeah, about many platforms, online platforms, which one is better? I personally, I find every platform, even I go to MOOCs platform and learn some different subjects that I need to always learn. I think each one has some uniqueness. So don't try to pick one versus other. Go look at the subjects that interest you, because every platform has a different focus areas. So a different platform will give you focus on different subjects. Based on your personal interest, find that platform that has more focus on subjects related to you, okay? So also learn how to make website. I give more help to meet many ways. I don't know. Learning website is, of course, the many people learn websites. That's something simple. Innovating digital education skills during COVID and post-COVID. I think that digital education is, or COVID is sort of forcing digital technology to be implemented much faster, okay? I gave you examples in my first slide. Because of the COVID, all these digital platform solutions are being executed or implemented much faster than we had initially planned. So COVID and any pandemics, any crisis like this will always help us or motivate us or drive us to look for more and more digital solutions, okay? Are there any possibility to reach all rural areas by digital education and new skills? Very good. This is a particular for a country like India, where you have large number of people that still live in villages. I hope, for what I hear, Government of India is building internet connectivity to the villages. I hope everybody gets internet access. Hope everybody has a computing platform and access to internet. And there is a lot of digital education even in India. People are building, but there is a lot of international platform that very easily can be available. But first thing first, we need to provide internet to Indian villages. It's unfortunate that you have still a power cut, even platforms like IIT Kharagpur that I'm giving a talk and the network was disconnected. So this is something that India still has a lot of work to do. So we should not get disconnected. We should not have network connectivity issue in programs like this. And obviously in the village can be even worse, okay? How to bring the attitude towards innovation in the first me as faculty and then as a student. Very good. So faculty, I find faculties are two categories. One, new faculty who have just started in the last 5 years or less. They have a more modern approach of teaching, modern way of looking at things. The faculty who are there for, let's say 20, 30 years, and again, they are a lot of my friends, nothing against them. They are much more set to their old system. We are human. We don't like changes, right? We kind of like to do what we have done before. So my advice to the senior professors, listen to the new requirement and change as much as possible. Allow new leaders to play a bigger role, right? You became mentor. Let the new faculty take on some new roles, right? Not everybody can do everything themselves. So the teachers have a huge role to play in terms of motivating student, in terms of applying all these new focus areas and so on. I think I have answered many of the questions, but I will stop here. I have left you my email address, my contact details. By all means, send me email if you have any specific question. I'll be very happy to respond. If I don't know the answer, I have many friends who are smarter than me. I'll try to get answer from them. But it was a pleasure speaking with all of you, and I look forward to staying in touch. And I wish you all the best and keep in touch. Take care. Thanks.